Hey, monkey boy. This time I can prove the Israelites weren't black using ChatGPT. Ha!
So that's what we're doing now? Using AI?
What was that? I couldn't hear you over that smoke alarm chirp you people can't hear. Say that again?
Hilarious and original.
Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original.
I said, is that what we're doing now? Using AI to prove who the Israelites are?
That's exactly what we're doing, and I'll show you, boy.
Oh, brother.
2 hours later.
Your room still stinks.
Look at how easily ChatGPT debunks everything you chimps have to say. Ha! You was not kings, and you was not Israelites.
If we're going to use AI, then let's at least use an AI that's trained on the Bible without the Masoretic mistranslations or any agendas and actually tells us the truth.
Liar, there's no such thing.
I'll show you. Let's use Israelite Bot. Go to israelitebot.com and ask the same thing.
Fine, but I bet it'll say the same thing as ChatGPT. No! No!
You see? I told you.
No!
And it shows biblical proof.
No! This is preposterous. I hate this website. It's all wrong.
Stop crying.
Your website sucks.
The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Shalom, salama, CME, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel. You're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. Well, this morning, there are folks evacuating different places around the world. This morning, there's a lot of things happening around the world. There are governments evacuating. But honestly, only the spiritual eyes can see. The blinded eyes of the flesh, they don't know what's happening, nor do they want to know what's happening, because in some conversations that I've had recently, personally, this is their judgment. And I really do feel sorry for the people that don't want to pay attention to this, because the reality is that this is going to be on the doorsteps of America sooner than later. You don't go around threatening ultimatums and giving ultimatums like that's going to work. I had the picture of Roddy Piper and LaDavid Keith because the reality is that everybody's caught up in the spiritual blindness. Really doesn't matter who you are. And the reality is that spiritual blindness is a comfort. It's a safety zone. It's a safety net. I saw that too. The head of the IAEA. Oh yeah, he was getting worked on Al Jazeera. Because people are now scared. I'm going to tell you this. It started to get real when folks were allowed to evacuate. That's when it started to get real. I just posted this article here. France 24. Government scramble to evacuate citizens from Israel, Iran. Governments around the world are evacuating thousands of their nationals caught up in the rapidly spiraling Israel-Iran conflict, organizing buses and planes, and in some cases assisting people crossing borders on foot. Yeah, they're leaving on foot. They're trying to go through Jordan and even parts of Lebanon. But I think really Jordan. Foreigners have rushed to leave both countries after Israel launched an unprecedented bombing campaign last Friday targeting Iran's nuclear and military facilities, sparking retaliation from Tehran. With Israel's airspace closed and the two countries exchanging heavy missile fire, many people are evacuating via neighboring countries. European countries have already repatriated hundreds of their citizens from Israel. Czech Republic and Slovakia said Tuesday they had taken 181 people home on government planes. It was not possible to send the army plane straight to Israel, the Czech defense said in a statement, citing the airspace closure. The evacuees were taken to an airport in a neighboring country by buses. So they went to Jordan. They're crossing via Jordan. I don't believe that they're going to be crossing via Iran nor via Egypt. The German government said flights were scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday via Jordan. There you go. Via Jordan. Greece said it repatriated 105 of its citizens, plus the number of foreign nationals via Egypt. Well, there you go. So they have Egypt, I guess, south of Gaza, that area south of Gaza open. So the U.S. ambassador to Israel on Wednesday announced plans for evacuating Americans by air and sea. I saw a report. The report was in Tampa Bay Times, my local newspaper, and it had showed Ron DeSantis at Tampa International Airport welcoming folks back from Israel. Now, understand that was kind of the last thing that they wanted, because I'm telling you, this isn't the last of it. China has evacuated more than 1,600 citizens from Iran and several hundred from Israel. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said on Thursday its embassies and consulates will continue to make every effort to assist in the safe transfer and evacuation of Chinese citizens. You have Australia, you have, well, Pakistan will just have people from Iran. I doubt they have folks from Israel. 30,000 Indians in Israel, Japan, 1,000. Yeah, folks are boogieing. They're skedaddling, and they're skedaddling in the region. I want to take your all's attention here. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. There we go. So back here in the Twitter spaces, this is from Aboma John. The only reason I'm reading this one is because of what he posted and who he posted. U.S. completes evacuation from bases in Qatar and Bahrain. Washington appears fully prepared for a military operation against Iran, especially after Tehran rejected Trump's ultimatum. Meanwhile, Iran and Israel continue exchanging massive strikes. Reports indicate that Iran has blank, but this is Dima from Military Summary channel here on YouTube. I do like to watch his content. He has been in the past more in the analysis of the Russia-Ukraine war, and now because he does Military Summary, he's also now looking at the Israel-Iran conflict. And let me just kind of tell you what is happening. So this is here, complete clear out satellite confirmation of Al Udeid base in Qatar. USA stronghold base, it's the largest air base in the Middle East. The evacuation of aircraft at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar is now visually confirmed. Satellite photography confirms the departure of all non-sheltered aircraft. The base is empty. So the evacuation plan for Qatar is that in the event that they are not able to basically hold on, they are basically going to go by convoy out in the desert of eastern Saudi Arabia and really make it into either Riyadh or even go north to about Jordan. And that's about maybe a good 24 to 36 hours, yes, in those conditions. And of course, you'd want to always travel at night. That's why I say it would be about 24 to 36 hours. So this is Eyes on News. Breaking U.S. evacuates Al Udeid Air Base ahead of possible escalation. Doha, Qatar. Satellite imagery confirms that the United States has fully evacuated all aircraft from Al Udeid Air Base, a major strategic hub in the region. The evacuation includes warplanes from the base, I'm assuming, but there's the satellite imagery. June 17th, the little dots are gone. Those dots are usually the shadows. If you're looking at maps, are accustomed to looking at maps. There's a spot on the air base that I actually am looking at specifically. And that spot is gone. That's a big one. They got rid of all their aircraft. They're showing you the aircraft that had been parked there. Looks like you have about 4 aircraft that's visually seen. Those are tankers. They're lined up, and these suckers are huge. C5s. These are probably C-17s. It's been a while since I've been on that base. The last time I was on that base was 2019. I remember that. That was January of 2019. People say, well, that's just fine. Nothing's happening. You never saw that. I'm gonna say in the history of the the Gulf states, I don't even think they had this for Iraq. I'm just, in my common knowledge and my understanding, I've never seen Al Udeid completely evacuated. That's a complete evacuation of military aircraft, which means that whatever they have in whatever capacity that they'll have to escape, chances are, this is just my opinion, chances are they would probably, let me come here. They would probably I could find a better map. Yeah, those are the airplanes. Oh, that brings back some memories. Yeah, that's what they look like. And at that time, you could tell that they were already actively getting their flights out of there. So that was a very big reduction. So you saw probably the last remaining aircraft. Let me get up here. Okay. All right. So chances are, as you all are seeing this little notch right here is like Al Dammam area. This is the Al Dammam area, that little notch. You have the little hook of the water that's coming through in a little bay south of that Al Dammam, because then you have the start of UAE. But there's also Saudi Arabia that touches just south of Qatar. Chances are that they would then have a movement from that base to the line. That's only about less than 2 hours. So it'll probably be about maybe 2 to 3 hours to get to this location. And they would probably have non-standard flights that would then take them to the rest of the area. So there's a lot of movement that's taken place of the U.S. military forces. And make sure you understand that if the U.S. military forces are moving, guess what that also means? British military forces are moving too. The Brits just don't stay there. If we're gone, then the Brits are gone, then the French are gone. Yeah, this is also Al Dhafra Air Base. That's another air base that they have, Al Dhafra. That's located in UAE. It's a little outside of Abu Dhabi. But that was June 12th. Trying to find you something a little bit more recent. Let me see, because I may have to go to, that was the top. That was the latest. Let me go to the top here. Because they'll have some satellite imagery. Because the satellite imagery was showing that that they had no ships in port in Manama. It says breaking news: the U.S. and UK just pulled all their weapons out of Bahrain. This isn't routine. Something serious is going down. That's from a Zaman Abdurrahman. They're all saying that that was as of yesterday. less than 21 hours ago. Said Bahrain has also cleared out both its military airports while civilian airports continue to function at the risk of larger Middle East wars. That airport I know is south of Manama, or south of Manama. It's Manama is the capital of Bahrain. I know that airport is south. And then the U.S. Embassy in Bahrain has advised its citizens to prepare for potential airspace closures across Gulf countries. That's OSINT World War III that reported that. Man, I know that there's pictures of the ports. Because when I saw that, that was pretty astonishing. I wonder if that got scrubbed. Man, it may have. Excuse me. It takes Western media a little bit of time to adjust to things. But here's this. I like to say that whenever you see, yeah, thank you, Zoomer Doomer. Abdulaziz. I haven't been to Bahrain in like 17 years. Yeah, it's been a minute. Sean saying the NATO nations had to make their move sooner than later. The NATO nations can allow BRICS to assist in Africa's modernization to include an African military alliance. I think you probably meant can't allow BRICS to assist, because NATO does not want to have an African alliance. That's the last thing that they would want. Let me switch on over to this article. This is MSN from Reuters. Let me toggle into this. U.S. officials preparing for possible strike on Iran in coming days, reports. Why did I say coming days? Remember, I said that yesterday. I said you're probably not going to hear anything until maybe Friday afternoon, right? Friday evening, Saturday morning, when people are fully engaged in their weekend. Nobody is worrying about anything until Sunday. And that gives people the leg up to do their trading and things of that nature. Let's get into this article here. This is Reuters about 10 hours ago. Senior U.S. officials are preparing for the possibility of a strike on Iran in the coming days. Bloomberg News reported on Wednesday, citing people familiar with the matter. The report citing the people noted that the situation is still evolving and could change. Some of the people, according to Bloomberg, pointed to potential plans for a weekend strike. Pointed to potential plans for a weekend strike. I didn't make that up. They did. I was just telling you what we see, what has been the verdict what I have witnessed in my military career, and it's always on a weekend. So it's going down on a weekend. They're telling you it's going down without telling you it's going down. Exactly, Zoomer Doomer. They can't spook the markets. They still have to get that oil moving. They have to keep the oil low. So what is Trump saying? What is the administration saying? It's not going to, don't worry, we're having this, we're having that. See, Iran flew someone out to Oman. They're trying to negotiate. They're trying to have peace talks. Honestly, I think to me that Oman delegation I think that that may be them, Oman, saying, hey, we're here to accept your conditional surrender. And in doing so, let's come to terms, because all of that Eastern Mediterranean nation may not, it won't be in existence like that. Choose now who can stay. Count off now who can stay. 10% of your population can stay. And no more. Of course, I would say that they would probably say, hey, you all have to evacuate in this timing, in this time frame. Because if you don't, it's going to get even worse for you. This is what I believe. Of course, my whole overall thought process on this is, of course, the U.S. and Israel were never ready to fight a war. They never wanted to fight a war. This was always the culmination of the lie that they had to play on out for however long they could play it on out. Now that everything is, basically falling apart. And again, that's not just Israel, that's also the U.S. This now gives the opportunity for the U.S. to dismantle its operations in the Middle East. Excuse me. We had to shut down shop in the Middle East. This is the easiest way to shut down shop. The easiest way. We'll consolidate our forces in Jordan for a little bit. And then when we totally get beat back and the markets crash and everything else, and we cannot handle things, it's easier for people to basically get lost or get caught up over in Jordan area, because at least people then have a fighting chance of making it into Europe via the Bosphorus Strait, i.e. Turkey. Crossing Syria, crossing Lebanon, getting into Turkey. I believe, in my opinion, I believe that this is the monies and the funds that the U.S. they don't have access to anymore. What did you think a liquidation was going to do in bankruptcy? Do you think that it was just going to be all nice and neat and people are going to shake hands? All right, let's pack everything up. Let's get everybody back home. We can't afford to stay out there. What do you mean we can't afford to stay out there? Oh, you know, our economy is about to crash. Things over here is about to go crazy. But listen to this. Speaking to reporters earlier on Wednesday, Trump outside the White House, or on outside the White House, Trump declined to say if he had made any decision whether to join Israel's campaign. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. Oh, that's what you want to. That's the uncertainty that you want to have. Nobody knows what I'm going to do. We all know what he's going to do. You know why? Because the money is the one talking. America's not bankrupt. Okay, keep telling yourself that. I'm thinking that too, Brother Sean. Yeah, that is kind of the last resort of fortifying Jordan and then having them flee. So I know Jordan. Oh my goodness. You have Karak Castle, you have Madaba, you have the Dead Sea areas. You have a lot of different places, even by Petra down to Alman. You have a lot of different places. They can go through, they'll go up and head on out to the Suez. Jordan's already there playing ball with the middle or with the Eastern Mediterranean nation. So that's the reason why you have King Abdullah II. He was always a vassal. He was always a vassal to the United States, to Europe, to that Eastern Mediterranean nation. Don't get it twisted. Yep, surrounding areas of Petra is a natural fortress. It absolutely is. So when they evacuate that Eastern Mediterranean nation, then guess what they're going to do? Then they will have Jordan. Jordan will go down. Not just Jordan will go down. Saudi Arabia may. But Saudi Arabia is real shifty and crafty. So MBS will say, hey, we've always told them. Oh, no, they're going to start turning on U.S. forces. Because why? You got to remember, they have to survive this. Those countries have to survive this. Yep, see, we kicked them on out and we told them to leave and we gave them this and we gave them that. They're trying to survive. They're trying to make sure that they don't get the case of lead poisoning. towards the very end of this kingdom's lifespan. Towards the very end of this kingdom's lifespan. Yeah, I can't even access Times of India. I can't even access that article, Garth. I tried to access that. Putin proposes peace talks between Iran and Israel. Trump tells him to focus on Ukraine. Yeah, because Trump wants to go to war. that's the whole issue. Trump wants. This was the real war. This was it. The whole Russia-Ukraine thing was just what it was. It was a tactic. It was a proving ground. What weapons, what armaments, what tactics are you going to be seeing potentially over in the Middle East? What will Iran learn from Russia? Because the whole reality is this. A lot of people had second guessed Iran because here's the thing. Iran doesn't overtly fight. Iran's military has never really crossed that Western Rubicon to go into Iraq, to go into Kuwait, to go into Saudi Arabia. Now he's not gonna understand the allies, because even if you listen to Trump today, or excuse me, not Trump, but Putin today, Putin was talking about that that they do not, in terms of Iran, they do not. Russia and Iran does not have a security agreement. He brought it to them. He tried to put on the table, but he said Iran did not do anything further with that. And I'm going to say this. Given the fact that you had Iran dealing in good faith, having a security pact would be and would have been viewed as double dealing. Why do you need to have a security pact with Russia all of a sudden? You don't trust us? You know, that's how they would spin it. Hey, it's not that I don't trust you, but if things go awkward and awry, I don't have anybody to lean on. I don't have anybody that's going to help me. But if you do side with Russia, then you know what? It makes it look really bad. So their calculus, Iran's calculus, was to not side with Russia. So they could remain honest brokers. And let me tell you, and they knew that. They knew that this was going to happen. They knew that they were going to get hit. That's why every single bit of their rhetoric was, if you touch 1 square inch of Iranian land, we're going to release that can. So Iran was ready for this. Iran knew this. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that Iran was like, la-di-da-di-da-di, and they fell into it. But if you have to go after someone with all the full intensity, then you have to go through and say, oh my goodness, I never would have thought that they would have preemptively struck us. We were trying our best to return to the JCPOA and do a deal on the table because that's what the United States said, right? So what are they trying to do? Iran's also trying to feign victim. We've been victimized in this process. We're the real victims here. We tried. We're the real victims. Everybody's trying to claim their victimhood. Again, this is a photo. This is the ports over there in Bahrain, Manama. It's a little interesting because the Navy actually has bases on two sides. They have access to the port, then you actually have to go across the bridge to get. It's kind of weird in Manama Bay, but you know, it is what it is. Yes, Iran had to seize the moral high ground, even though it knew it was going to get punched in the face. See, sometimes you actually have to get punched in the face. You have to. That is the art of war. Let that be a lesson. That's actually a lesson in humility. That's a lesson in trying to be meek. Yeah, that's a sacrifice. Nobody wants to be punched in the face. But you know, man, I'm going to be punched in the face. We're just going to have to brace for loss. That's why these folks would say martyrdom, martyrdom. Because why? They knew they had to brace for loss. Don't get it twisted. They knew exactly where this thing was going to go. Yep. Oh, we're engaging now. Yeah, after they engage, you know what's going to end up happening. Some folks are going to be deleted. You already know what's going to end up happening. Talk about being true to form. Would anybody want to sign up for a job and they realize in their job that they're going to die? They have been set up in that job to die, to be deleted. Who would have the moral conviction to say, yep, I know I'm going to be in this job. I know I'm going to die because for me to die, that gives us the moral high ground to take on this nation, to take on the West. And what that did, that showed the global South exactly who they were dealing with. That showed the BRICS nations. That showed everyone. That showed the African nations. Now, understandably, Israel's getting a taste of its own medicine. Unfortunately, here's the Times of Israel. I just put that in the chat here. Let me get to this article. Our heavy damage, injuries as Iranian missile hits Beersheba Hospital. Dozens hurt in central cities. Some 30 missiles fired in early morning barrage. Warhead causes extensive damage to Soroka, the main hospital in southern Israel. 6 people seriously injured in a Ramat Gan and Holon. Iran fired a barrage of some 30 ballistic missiles early Thursday, scoring a direct hit on Israel's main southern hospital, the Soroka Medical Center, and two other impacts in the central cities of Holon and Ramat Gan that wounded dozens of people, including 6 in serious condition. The Magen David Adam Emergency Service said that a man, 80, and 2 women, both in their 70s, were among 6 people seriously injured. 2 people were moderately injured, and at least 42 others suffered light injuries from shockwaves and shrapnel at the various impact sites. In addition, 18 people were slightly injured as they scrambled to bomb shelters when sirens went off. Now, here's the reality. Most people know that when Israel was targeting Gaza, they were targeting their hospitals. Could this be a tit for tat? I would say, of course, it's a tit for tat. And the tit for tat is this. When they're going after energy facilities, man, this is let me just put this here. This is RX, the real RX. Iran strikes Soroka Medical Center, the largest hospital in southern Israel, a direct hit on humanity itself. Wait a second. See, they weren't saying that about Gaza. This isn't war, it's terror. They weren't saying that about Gaza. Khomeini just crossed a line that the world won't forget. You weren't saying that about Gaza. As an Indian, yep, that's the problem. We will help you, sir. Oh my goodness. No, sir. We will help you, sir. There's a comment on one of these channels. Oh my goodness. Female pilot crash land. Oh no, we will help you, sir. Oh my goodness. It's not funny. It's real ignorant, but it was kind of funny. Yeah, look, exactly. Galatians 6 and 7. You're gonna reap what you sow. You're gonna reap what you sow. Don't come on out here and say Don't come on out here and say that y'all never did this, that you all never targeted the hospital in Gaza, that you all never targeted the women and children trying to go there, the wounded trying to go there. Like, get out of here. And they were relentless in doing that mess too. And the world just sat back and they just shut their mouths. And all I could say was, nah, they're gonna get some payback. And when they get payback, when that thing gets done to them as they did to others, I'm gonna talk about it. No, I'm not gonna sit and let wickedness rule. That's the eyes of the blind. The eyes of the blind allow for wickedness to rule. Because why? Because then they try to say, there's nothing I can do about it. Is there anything I can't say anything? Yeah, because they took your voice. Gentiles think that their voices don't matter. They literally think that their voices don't matter. You want to know why they think that their voices don't matter? Because why? Because they always need to have black people to do what? To protest for them. Because why? Because our voices are powerful. I can't do anything. I can't say anything. I just have to do this. I just have to see that. And, no. Get out of here. They sat back and I saw all that stuff happening in Gaza. And we were here saying it. Now that's going to start happening to them. And when it happens to them, they're going to make it a big, big deal. But I'm sorry. Guess what? They started this with Iran. I'm sorry. You can't do the same tactics that you do on black people to other nations. I'm sorry, that doesn't happen. You've had success with doing that with us for years. And we said, y'all are going to pick the wrong one. Y'all are going to start with the wrong one. And then they're going to say, oh, well, this is this and that. And then you show them what they've been doing. Show them the babies that have been ripped apart by their missiles. This is everything that they caused. This is their destruction. And now those chickens have come home to roost. It's 7 hours ago. It said reports confirm Iran has fired nearly 400 ballistic missiles and over 1,000 drones at Israel, escalating the conflict significantly. And they said they got thousands. They got thousands. I don't think that Israel can support that barrage. I do believe, in my opinion, I believe that you had Iranian government go to give Israel an ultimatum. And the reason I say that is because when people try to say that, well, Iran is very warlike and, they want to always be the conflict of war and everything else. I don't think so. Iranian government aircraft makes mysterious dash to Oman. Iranian's presidential A340 and two A321s have flown to Oman days after Israel declared air superiority over the country. Well, if they're air superiority, then how are they going? Iran's primary presidential plane and two other government airliners have touched down in the Omani capital, Muscat. The highly unusual arrivals amid reports that the regime in Tehran is looking to negotiate an end to the ongoing conflict with Israel, as well as growing speculation that the United States may be directly entering the fight or enter the fighting in a major way. Where exactly the Iranian aircraft, a pair of Airbus A321s and an Airbus A340 originally departed from, is unclear. The trio of aircraft used the call signs JJ-25, JJ-26, and JJ-28 at the time of writing. There has been no official word for the purpose of the flights or who might be on them. So they went to Oman. I'm going to say this. To me, in my personal opinion, this is me. Take it or leave it. This is me. I would not doubt that Iran went to Oman to tell the U.S. directly, face to face, if you do what you're planning to do, it's over for you. We're going to take the time to load up the airplanes. Now, they know that the U.S. isn't going to be looking the other way. You got to remember the U.S. has to strike because that's what every senator in Congress pledges. Every congressman, every person in the House, every elected official does a pledge to AIPAC. You want to get AIPAC money to run for a seat? They don't care what side of the house you're on. You want to get AIPAC money? You need to sign that pledge. And you need to make good on that promise because you signed with the pact. See, sometimes all money isn't good money. Be careful who you're taking the money from. Oh, hey, you took that gift. You took that pledge. You took that promise. We now have the legal precedent to end your life. You better understand how money is used. The French, they call money device. They better understand how that fiat is used. Gain the whole world, but lose your soul. This is what they're looking like. Man, they gained the whole world just to what? Just to lose their soul. That's a shame. So, in my opinion, I believe that that was the. You're going to do what you're going to do, but I'm going to tell you, when you do what you think you're going to do, it's not going to go very well for you. So do what you're going to do, because I know you have to do it. We already know you have to do it. We already know you're not in control of this. We already know how this is going to go down. We already know. We're just going to look in your eyes and look at dead man walking. Going back to this thread. Saying reports confirm Iran has fired nearly 400 ballistic missiles and over 1,000 drones at Israel, escalating the conflict significantly. But they don't really like to tell you what Israel has done, because Israel started the conflict. So you have to be very skeptical about all these folks, especially when it's coming from the Indian side of the house. Sorry, but to me, you do. This is Ashish Singh. See the video properly. Iran launched missile is beautiful but deadly. It's dangerous attack on Israel still now. Yeah, when you see those things in real life, it has a very glaring effect, especially when it's done at night. You'll see that here in Florida at least once or twice a year from NASA launching missiles. On the left side is a video. I believe that it's scraping the firmament. Look at all the destruction that's happened in Israel so far. People are losing their homes. It looks like Gaza in less than a week in certain areas. You have missiles hitting in Tehran. Yeah, more video coming from out of the hospital. I'm telling you, not even every 24 hours. It's actually every 12 hours. Things are going, they're getting uglier and uglier. Indian propaganda, man. Even on those Indian films, they'd still be having a little. Oh my goodness. He said only 23% of American voters can identify Iran on world map. That's horrible. It's probably really true, but that's pretty horrible. So it's a lot of circular reporting. And then you got now Ted Cruz beefing with Tucker Carlson, and everybody's beefing. The world is now taking sides. So yes, this is the one I wanted to show. So this is the biggest strike on Israel. Areas near Israel's nuclear facility and stock market hit badly. Sleepless nights for Netanyahu, who did this to Gaza. Now he faces the consequences. Iran is in full aggression mode. Yes, I wanted to show this one because this was a big one.
תראו מה קרה בחוץ, אתם לא מאמינים. אימא'לה, כל הרחוב נגבר, אין יותר, יואו, אתם לא מבינים מה קורה פה. דנה, תראי מה קרה לבניין שלך, צ'יינג', הלך. הלך כל המקלאווי. יואו, רגע, מה, אימא'לה?
They were doing this during the daytime. This happened during the daytime just a couple hours ago. So they're going after their energy grid, and they're going after their stock exchange. So they're going for their power centers.
וואלק נחת אצלנו פה, תראה מה עשו לנו. כל הבית. כל הבית הלך. הלך הבית.
Yeah, that was posted about 6 hours ago. Everybody has their opinions. It's all going to get sorted on out. Yeah, again, this is posted about 7 hours ago. This is all during the day. They're doing daylight strikes, daytime strikes. They're saying that's the Chinese air defense system. I don't think he got that much. I think that video looks really fake, in my opinion. Yeah, this is crazy. It's looking like God's before them every single day. I'd like to see if this is actually true. North Korea calls Israel cancer-like entity and blames the West for the conflict with Israel. I don't know. They can say it. I have no dog in that fight. It is what it is. So we'll all see how this thing works on out. Here's everybody, man. They are out. Said, I'm grabbing my bags. I'm gone. They're having their emergency evacuation. It said, get me out of here. He said this was not worth it. Someone lied to me.
All right. Yeah, I just
He said, Oscar, yep, that's me. Get me back to Europe immediately. Get me back to USA immediately. Chop, chop. Time's a wasting. Missiles are flying. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's bigly. It's huge. That's why I always try to preface this. I always try to provide, a little bit of an insight, somewhat of a forward, somewhat of an analysis. Don't worry about what they say. Always, always, always worry about what they do. Worry about what's going on, and not to worry, but that's what you pay attention to. Pay attention to what you're seeing happening. Garth, are you saying that they're going to be gone till November? Or are they going to be all the way gone by November? When you see me run and wondering why, the missile strikes, I'll be gone by November. I'll be gone by November. Now put to tell them they'll be gone by November. January, February, March, April, May. June started the war. Now I don't feel the same way. I'll be gone by November. Peace to my mother. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I think for them, someone please call 999. Missile rockets hit my home and it's blazing all around. Interceptors losing control. Oh my goodness. I wanted to put that Eddie Griffin clip of Armageddon so bad, where they're pulling the dog on up. Someone call 911. Oh my goodness. I wanted to pull that clip up so bad, YouTube would give me the white circle of death. And they were mocking the people of Gaza. That's the messed up thing. Man, don't mock people's calamities. No. We were telling y'all that this was going to happen. Y'all didn't want to listen. We were only here for a season to tell you. You didn't want to believe that we're the people? Then that's fine. But we weren't going to be here forever. Sorry, we started to wake up. Sorry, we started to change because we started to wake up. And we started to ask the questions. And guess what you all started to do? You all started to run. You started to hide. And then you allowed for a genocide to happen. Yeah, I'm talking to the Gentiles. Y'all allowed for a genocide to happen. Because you Gentiles, you're cowards. Well, my Bible says, your Bible starts literally Matthew to Revelations. And they may sprinkle in a little bit of Psalms and Proverbs for good measure. They don't like to talk about Zechariah 11 and 5. We offend not. Selective cognizant, cognitive dissonance. For you Gentiles, y'all need to be fearful. Yes, be fearful. Because now you see if your best weapon systems are literally failing in the Middle East, are you excuse me, can you all even understand this? They do not trust their own missile systems. They don't trust their THAADs. They don't trust their Patriots. They literally up and left. Let me get here because I don't know. Let me get this here. Excuse me. See, here's the thing. This is why they don't. This is why they don't like to read the Old Testament. This is why they don't like to read the Bible. Let's just be honest. The Bible was real cool when they felt as though they were quote unquote winning. When they were quote unquote, their dollar had it all. Their money could buy it all. Everything was looking good for them. Their passport was looking good. They could travel without people revoking their visas. And they don't even know if their dollar's going to make it through this weekend, let alone through the end of the month. Crypto-based digital currency, CBDC. They don't want to look at the scriptures, because they'd say, well, that doesn't matter anymore. Because why? Because they don't want consequences. But the reality is that it does matter. It matters then. It still matters today, because we're still the result of the promises that the Most High had for his people to be chastised because of the sins that we committed. And yes, we were given to what? A senseless nation. And yes, you're acting exactly every little bit of what the Most High said you're going to act, because you're a senseless and foolish nation. And yes, I'm saying that to you all Gentiles, you're a senseless and you're a foolish nation. A nation that's technically not even really a nation. We see how much y'all even want to fight each other on the prospects of going to war against a people that can actually beat you. You see how crazy that is? Oh, we don't want to fight now. They had all that smoke for Iran until Iran showed them all the smoke. Never mind. Don't do it, Trump. Don't. They're scared out of their minds. But we've been telling you, read the scriptures. That's the Most High. And you want to know why? You want to know what it is? They don't. And if they did, then guess what they did? Guess what they didn't do? They didn't follow through. You know what? Whatever. If it happens, it happens. If it affects me, it affects me. That's the point of arrogance, and that's the point of pride. And that's what the Most High detests. They don't even like to read Proverbs. Six things the Most High hates, seven things he detests. No, they don't read their scriptures. No, they don't read their word. They just thought everything was fine and dandy because why? Because they can live lawless and they can live nice on their dainties. And now Babylon is being judged right in front of their faces. Can we use your voice? Can we scream on out? Can we have the Most High relent? Start here at Jeremiah 17. This is what happened with us. Judah's sin is engraved with an iron tool, inscribed with the flint point on the tablets of their hearts and on the horns of their altars. Even their children remember their altars and Asherah poles. Beside the spreading trees and on the high hills, my mountain and the land and your wealth and all your treasures I will give away as plunders. He did. Together with your high places because of sin throughout your country. That's what's happened to us. Do unto us as they've done unto them. Obadiah. Obadiah. Through your own fault, you will lose the inheritance I gave you. I will enslave you to your enemies. That's what's happened. In a land you do not know. That's what's happened. For you have kindled my anger, and it will burn forever. That is what has happened. The great thing about forever doesn't mean that it's forever. It's the time. Because when that happens, as we repent, as we turn back, as we say, Father, please forgive us. Even for those that are not anywhere near awakened, you want to know what they're doing? Well, we need to figure this thing on out. Because if not, we're going to get destroyed. You know, even our people, they may be steeped in the most wicked upon wickedness. They'll know that destruction's coming. And they will try their best to try to have some semblance of righteousness. Okay, what do I need to throw away? Okay, what needs to happen? I told you these times are coming very, 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 very quickly. These times are coming faster than what we don't even have a 24-hour cycle anymore. You realize that, right? We don't even have a 12-hour cycle anymore. It is happening that fast. This is what Yahuwah says. This is Jeremiah 17:5. Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from mere flesh, and whose heart turns away from Yahuwah. That person will be like a bush in the wasteland. They will not see prosperity when it comes. They will dwell in the parched places of the desert, in a salt land where no one lives. But blessed is the one who trusts in Yahuwah, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water, that send out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in year of drought, and never fails to bear fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? They better understand. They may think that they are living righteously. They may think that they are not doing any wrong. I'm telling you, we've already been saying it. We've already convicted you with our mouths. Because why? Because that's our voice. The lawgiver of Judah. You better read Genesis chapter 49. You better understand who we are as a people, you better understand what our voice does. Our voice convicts. Our voice tears down and our voice builds up life. It's our voice. Remember, you all need that voice to do your bidding. Now y'all are getting mad because our voice, we're just talking to ourselves. We're speaking truth and peace to ourselves, to our neighbors. We don't have time for your foolishness, your foolish antics. Y'all are getting drug in a war. I wonder what protests are planned for this weekend that they want us to be in. Well, if we go to war, y'all are going to get drafted and y'all are going to be... No, we're not. No, we're not. If anything, we go into war, that's where they don't want us to be. Because they can't control the situation. How can you be in a situation where you're trying your best to control and maintain and hold on to white supremacy while fighting war at the same time? Something's got to give. We'll leave those Negroes alone as we fight there. Once we finish there, then we can deal with them. That's going to be their calculus. Why draft them? And you have a large majority of our black men and women, younger men and women, oh, they know who they are. Oh, they know the truth. Oh, stop playing. During my time as a substitute teacher, oh, I saw that. Stop. No, they know. Got 13, 14-year-olds trying to school me. Mr. Copeland, Mr. Copeland. They know that we're Israelites. We're the tribe of Judah, Mr. Copeland. Say it with your chest, young man. They lying, Mr. Copeland. Do you know what this is showing our younger generation? Oh, they're bold with it now. I don't need to hide. Look, y'all are getting destroyed. I don't need to do nothing. Why? Look at these scriptures. You all think that they're not up here on TikTok putting those scriptures down, putting their thoughts down? Oh, yeah. Now I see why they lied, because this is what's going to happen. Yeah, I see why they lied. They don't control the narrative anymore. I saw that in January, February, when I first started my substitute teaching. They don't have the narrative. They don't have the narrative with our children. They don't have the narrative with our sons and daughters. They don't have the narrative. So because they don't have the narrative, they're trying to do their escapism. La 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 la. That has nothing to do with me. La 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 la. No, no, I'm good. La 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 la. They're putting their hands over their ears, and they're trying to do their escapism like it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. It meant something to you when you were making money. It meant something to you when your job was not in jeopardy. It meant something to you when you're able to pay your bills. It meant something to you when you're able to have the standing that you had throughout the nations, and now you don't have that standing anymore. Now your image has been tarnished. Now your image has been drugged down to the ground, and you still don't want to repent. You still lack the empathy and sympathy to even recognize the scriptures. That's still their folly. Y'all don't have that much time, Gentiles. I was telling you that, and I was trying to tell you that in a really nice way. Your hands are cursed. Your feet are cursed. Your mouths are cursed. Your head is cursed. Everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you think that you're going to prosper in is going to fail. It is cursed. I didn't say it. The Most High did. So when you think that you're going to escape or think that you have a calculus of getting back on top, it's just going to crash and crash calamitously. It's going to be very bad, bigly bad. Maybe you understand it with, the 47, 45. Maybe you'll get it on the new Trump mobile. Maybe you'll start to understand it on Trump phone. We were trying to tell you, we were casting our pearls to the swine for just maybe one of you all to say, you know what? I need to make a difference. I need to be the one to talk to my people. I need to stand up. I can't do that. Even at this final hour, y'all know what's going to happen. Y'all know what's going to happen. And you're seeing what's happening in a slow motion movie that is literally happening in real time. They can't stop the movie from spinning. They can't stop the reel from turning. It is their slow motion horror movie. It's close to midnight. I see that evil lurking from behind. And it starts to scream. Because this is Babylon Thriller. Babylon Thriller of light. They running from the rockets. Got the hypersonics inside. Thriller. Hypersonics in flight. Fatter, 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 fatter. Taking flight. Oh no. No. They got Khomeini. I gotta do that little VO3, VEO3. Having Khomeini with the Iranians doing the thriller dance. Khomeini turning around with the turban. Oh no. Have Soleimani with his zombie corpse. Oh my goodness. Is it too early for Halloween? Because this is Thriller. Hypersonics taking flight. Oh my goodness. They don't like this one. Jeremiah 17:10. I, Yahuwah, search the heart and examine the mind to reward each person according to their conduct, according to what their deeds deserve. Are they getting the payback? Are they getting the James Brown, the big payback? Look, I know how I walk. I know how I talk. I know how I'm moving in Yahuwah. I know how I move under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. You have to repent while you're able to repent. Because you won't be able to repent when you're on the other side of the ground. You may we listen, you know how we do as a people. You know we're gonna be laughing about things. We now have situations that are occurring. And these situations that are occurring, they're beyond anybody's control. But I can tell you whose control it was already under. It was already under the Most High's. Yeah, I could keep the song going, but I know that them Gentiles are scared. They don't even want to listen to Michael Jackson Thriller anymore. Them hypersonic missiles, thrill alive. Them drones and those fighters make you want to think twice. Thriller night. gotta, gotta. Oh my goodness. Yeah, look, it's technically day 7 of the war, and they don't even have defenses. Israel doesn't even have defenses. Will interceptors outlast missiles? Will Israel's interceptors outlast Iran's missile? The answer may shape the war. Now they actually have to, here's the reality. They actually have to talk about this. If they're talking about this, this means that they don't have an answer for this. Why do you think they have to have the U.S. come in? To give them cover. Gives them cover so they can go. This is June 19th, updated 6:19 a.m. This is from New York Times. Patrick Kingsley, Adam Rasgon, Ronan Bergman, Nathan Odermeyer, and Julian E. Barnes. Aside from potentially game-changing American intervention, which is what they want, that shapes the fate of Iran's nuclear program, two factors will help decide the length of the Israel-Iran war: Israel's reserve of missile interceptors and Iran's stock of long-range missiles. Since Iran started retaliating. See, I like how they had that. Since Iran started retaliating. No. Since Israel tried to do a sneak attack and it got caught, now they're in trouble. Israel's firing interceptors faster than it can produce them. That has raised questions within the Israeli security establishment. Whether the country will run low on air defense missile before Iran uses up its ballistic arsenal, according to 8 current and former officials. They know it's a problem. That's why they're trying to put it at. That's why they're trying to push this. That's why when Trump says, I don't know. Yeah, he knows. They have to push it because why? Because they're in trouble. Oh, Iran's just there because Iran's gonna, they went to Oman so they could surrender. But y'all running out of missiles. Make it make sense. Oh, well, they don't. It's just this. Y'all, this was a concern even back in April and May with the Houthis. Yeah, sorry, I took the link down. Sorry, Minister Rick, I'm not gonna have you on right now because I gotta get going. There's the reason I took the link down. We'll see, because I don't know if I'll be back on, obviously, this afternoon, because this afternoon, oh yeah, no, that they never want to call it a war. You can't call it a war because that by virtue scares people, and you can't have anything that's scary. Because if you start to scare people, then you start to mess with the markets and you start to mess with people's money. That's all that is. That's why they won't say a war. That's a monetary thing in terms of fear and money. So they've already exactly, Lily. Yeah, panic sets in. The last thing that they want to do, they don't want to panic the masses. Everything's good, everything's fine. We're kind of running low on some supplies. Some people have gas, some people don't. We're just going to swing it like this. And yeah, it's Juneteenth. It is Juneteenth. But in Juneteenth, I still have to go early because I still have to get things done. Because even though it's Juneteenth, people still work for this quote unquote, holiday. And yeah, our people do not. They don't have protection from the aerial attack and drone missile warfare. No, they don't. That's why they left. This is exactly why they left. No ships. If they have ships, they're trying to get out of the Strait of Hormuz. You have to understand there's a lot of logistics coordination that's happening. Trump can say something because Trump has to say something because, to be honest, we're not the audience. The U.S. is really not the audience. The audience is actually for the Eastern Mediterranean nation. I may do it, I may not do it. It depends. I don't know. He already knows. But he has to stall for at least that 24 to 48 hours. Like I said yesterday, 24 to 48 hours. Because why? Because then people are able to evacuate. And that evacuation order was probably given more than likely on Monday. And then 24 to 48 hours later, then they started talking about it Tuesday, Wednesday. And now, he's having the plans and all this other stuff when we're talking about this Thursday. There's a coordination of time. You just don't up and do a move within 2 hours. Unless you already declared that they did the move. You already have everybody out of there. You already have the base limited to the essential emergency personnel. You already had the contingency plans of when this gets bad that you know where to evacuate. And they're going to evacuate to Saudi Arabia. That's the easy one. UAE folks, they'll evacuate to Saudi Arabia because why? Because Saudi Arabia is going to be kind of the holdout point. That was the negotiations, in my opinion. Probably those were the negotiations back in 2023 when China had negotiated between Iran and Saudi Arabia. But then Saudis will have stipulations on them saying you can't do any type of command and control coordination over here at all, or we're going to kick you on out. And they'll be kicked out to Jordan. So they're going to regroup. They'll be there probably for a month or two. I would say 60 days, and then they'll recoup over to Jordan. To me, this process is going to be a course of time of at least maybe 3 or 4 months. But at the same time, as you have that for 3 or 4 months, those people in that Eastern Mediterranean nation, they're going to be bouncing. The dual citizens are bouncing first. The ones that aren't dual citizens, they're going to be taking those flotillas. They're going to be getting on the dinghies. All the things that they used to laugh about with black folks from sub-Saharan countries, the Africans from sub-Saharan countries, getting onto those dinghies and little flotillas and other ships. Those inflatables trying to cross the Mediterranean and then they be capsizing. This is what's going to end up happening. I presume that the peace plan, quote unquote peace plan, or any type of quote unquote peace plan would be for an evacuation effort at this point. Oh, y'all wanted to destroy Iran. Y'all wanted to destroy this country. Okay. That to me is going to be the calculus. They'll probably be told every Western nation needs to get up on out of there. Every single one. We don't even want your embassies. That's where this is getting to. And now, if you lose embassy access because of the U.S., European nations are going to be very, very mad. Now you're cutting off access for European nations. They're going to be very mad. If I was Iran, that would be my calculus. Oh, you want to get access to this gold here, this oil here, these LNG, this liquid natural gas, this petroleum? You join the fight with us, or you're going to run out of oil. Can you see that as a major bargaining chip? Can you see that happen? Because I'm going to tell you, there are people that could not, they would not be able to even fathom that. That's unfathomable to them. They couldn't even consider that. You mean we need to take up arms against the United States? Yep. Or you don't get any type of petrol. That would have made completely no sense less than a week ago this time. A week ago this time. Now it makes all the sense in the world. That's what Iran is doing. I told you, they're smart. They got a lot of PhD folks. They hold the most amount of PhD per capita in the Middle East. And they held their ground too. They said, we're not going to do anything to them. When they start this, it's going to be because they started it. Do you all remember that? You know, this stuff I'm not making up. And we were like, man, Iran is just going to be a punching bag. We said this. We were looking at this for 2 years because Iran was always getting the bait. They were always trying to get baited. And Iran just kept saying, we're not going to do it. 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 Remember, that was back in October. And Iran had said, we're not going to do it. Here are the conditions. Y'all do anything else, we're coming for you, and we're not going to stop. And lo and behold, they didn't stop. We were like, yeah, the moment that they do this, it's game over. Now it's a slow descent into game over. Man, their arrogance did it to themselves. We weren't here just, well, it may happen. No, we knew this day was going to happen. And I'm not overjoyed by this day. I'm really not. To me, these are some very, very sad times. But I'm not going to be like, oh my goodness, heal this place, heal this nation. Let's pray for Babylon, pray for the healing of Babylon. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, hallelujah, thank you, Father, that you are moving. And we know where this thing is going to end and how this thing is going to end. And who's going to be the most disrupted by this? Hey, thank you all. I'm going to say this. Thank you all for making our lives very miserable, especially for me. Since 2023, I thank you. I thank you for the hardships. I thank you. I thank you for the suffering and the pain. I thank you. I thank you for your control of the system to where I couldn't get the jobs that I was wanting to get. The jobs that I was accustomed to getting. The jobs that I was qualified to getting. I thank you for you destroying me, because what that did do, that built me up. That built me up. Because that built me up to be more resilient. That built me up to understand what the Most High had already put in my hand. That built me up. So what they meant for evil, the Most High turned for my good. That built me up in understanding neo-diplomacy and teaching neo-diplomacy. So why? So now we have something to work on and something to move on that's much greater than myself. But I would not have been able to understand it nor get there if the Most High did not put me through the press. I would not have been able to communicate with all these countries I'm communicating with these chiefs that I'm communicating with these ministers I'm communicating with these people that I'm communicating with. If it had just been, everything is cool, everything is great, everything is comfortable. Now they're trying to scramble. Well, we need to invest in Africa. You see how that is? Because they know what? They know why. They know that as soon as that first American missile launches, it's over. What was the time of death of Babylon? I'm telling you. That's what I'm clocking. The missile that will be heard across the world. Babylon's official time of death was at June 20th, 2:42 p.m. Last recognizable pulse. Because do you know what they'll end up happening? White supremacy will start to eat itself up. The snake will eat the tail. The snake will eat its own tail. Ouroboros. Get out of the way when that snake eats its tail. Get out of the way. Thank you for those that are signing up for the NeoDiplomacy class, because guess what? We have a job to do. We have a mission to do. And that mission is not something that we take lightly. For those that have ears to hear, that have eyes to see, this is something that's a big deal. The Most High is moving mightily. Nah, Cynthia. Nah, America's time of death in terms of its self-inflicted. They're trying to do what, they're trying to go out big. They're trying to do death by cop. When you get confronted, you already know that you're going to be deleted. So then you decide to fire in the direction where they said to not fire, and then self-deletion. They're going to pull that trigger. I'm sorry I'm giving you all time frames. Well, I shouldn't be giving you time frames, but I'm giving you the time frames based off of what they're saying. They're literally saying it. I told you, don't worry about what we say. Worry about what they say. Because they're telling you it. He can give them all the dog whistles. Because you want to know why? Because they just want to hear lies. But somewhere in that lie is some truth. Now there's a bigger impetus. I think, to me, when that day comes, you better be careful. I would not doubt that you have states trying to succeed. I do not doubt it. There will be a lot of things going on. Think about those mechanisms. There will be some states that will be officially saying, "Yep, we're going to vote. We have an emergency session." I believe that before they secede, that they'll try to, take over. They'll probably try to mobilize their units to try to take over. They'll try to say that this is an illegitimate presidency and blah blah blah. That's just what I see. Whether or not that goes, we'll see. But I'm going to tell you, that's why they had DC set up the way they had DC set up. And to me, this is why they're afraid of the civilian population, because their people, them folks, will be the ones doing all that craziness to fight for democracy. They're going to be fighting to take their country back for real. See, you do the demonstrations first, and now, in less than a week, the king is about to order a very, very big command. The command that will literally decide the fate of this country. Do you see the timing of that? I think it's funny, but it's really not funny. Impeccable timing. No kings. And that king's about to make a decree. Well, family, that's all I got. I got to get up on out of here. I got things I got to get done. While there's still no martial law declared, I got to get some things done for my dad later today, this morning. Thank you for your prayers and your support, especially this time. I really do appreciate it. We have, like me and the family members that we are dealing with, we're dealing with we're dealing with our families at this time. And it's a mass delusion. It really is. It's the saddest of the sad, because it's not just a mass delusion anymore. They just don't even want to look at the news. I don't watch the news anymore. Everybody's going to say, have their thing. Everybody's going to have their opinion. I read my Bible, and my Bible says something different. Wow. You're destroyed for a lack of knowledge. See, I don't care how you're going to try to manipulate or have the witchcraft. That's called rebellion. And here's the thing. This is a rebellious spirit that we have amongst all of our people, whether you're a Gentile, whether you're an Israelite. It's a rebellious spirit. You want to know how rebellious spirits got? Correction. The rod of correction, and that correction does not look good. That punishment does not look good. That punishment may lead to the grave. So you may have to prepare for loss of life for the ones that you love dearly. All you can do is speak the truth to people, to the people that you love. We're going to be coming out of here crying. Just understand that. Oh, Trump has a situation news in about an hour or so. I kind of figured. And he probably will order the strikes on Juneteenth because Trump be petty like that. Trump is petty. He is the king of petty. You want to know who he's the king of? You want to talk about no kings? Nah, my man is king of petty. Yeah, I did it Juneteenth because well, Juneteenth was for Negroes, but I think Juneteenth is for bombing. And since we can't bomb Negroes, we're gonna be bombing something, a little bit better, in my opinion. Pate, man, I'm sorry. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. So now think about this. When this goes down, what do you think is going to also go down? The stock market. What do you think is going to end up happening? When people say martial law, I really do look at it. It is going to be kind of quote unquote a martial law light, and we can we can discuss all that. But we'll see. I may have to be back on here in the afternoon. Just giving you that. I may have to be on here in the afternoon. I'm just letting you all know. I'm trying to stay up with this latest and greatest and things of that nature, just to give you all a heads up. Thank you again, family, for your support. Thank you for your prayers. I want you to understand. I want you all to understand this. We are greatly looked at on the continent. They are understanding what's happening. They see what's happening. And do you know the biggest gesture that we have been able to do was get that container out to the continent? We're going to get that container from the port to Burkina Faso. We need your help, family. I'm going to be working on that next week. I think the timing will be a little bit better next week, especially as our people start to see and understand, because, our people react in pain. They really do. So do a lot of the Gentiles. That's why they're trying to hurry and do a one up. I'm trying to tell y'all. The Most High already put the means in your hands to support times like this. Hallelujah. We'll discuss that. I'm thinking if I want to do a Q2A tomorrow. I'll see how things go. With that said, that's all I have. Most High willing, I'll see you maybe tomorrow on Q2A. If I do it, I'll have something by this evening. Since my throat is obviously feeling a lot better. If things go on today, especially after the situation room, after the meetings, then I'll be on to discuss. Because around 4 or 5, that's usually when they start doing things. And what that does is they can do things, they can do strikes, but they really won't have anything from Tehran until like a couple hours later, depending on what and how they strike. So if they do a decapitation strike, then they can flaunt that for a couple of hours, and then the markets won't be too volatile on Friday. Then they'll retaliate probably, Friday or Saturday. There's a reason for it. There's a situation for this, because they have their day of rest tomorrow evening. Matter of fact, they'll start their day of rest in another 7-8 hours. And Tehran, maybe another 3-4 hours. Then chances are then it'll be around tomorrow afternoon that they'll have to plan. I think the time difference from here in Tehran is now about 9 hours. 9 to 10 hours, if I'm not mistaken. 9 to 10 hours. So I told you all it's going to be a very, very interesting and bumpy ride. So with that said, yeah, I got to get on the road. All right, family. Shalom. Y'all be blessed. Y'all take care. And yes, please, please pray for our brothers and sisters in Damona. And yes, Iran did ask for that evacuation. Thank you, Zion Everwitt. Yeah, they just need to run on over into Egypt. Mizraim, unfortunately. Mizraim. To me, that's the best place to be right about now. Or somewhere in East Africa. Or sub-Saharan Africa, or however, wherever that goes. All right, family. With that, you all be blessed and stay safe. And with that said, most high willing, I will be back on tomorrow. And with that said, well, that'll be a Q2 way. That'll be Q2 way on Q2 way. And with that said, I hope I see you all on over there, because we're going to be talking about a lot of things that's still going on in Africa. You realize there's a lot of like literally major movements going on in Africa as we're focused. That's how the Most High works. He is truly awesome. He is truly awesome. They're all paying attention from the land. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace, and blessings, Yasharel.